Hello, I'm Vicky, a cloud support engineer based at the AWS office in Sydney. Today, I'll demonstrate you how you can migrate your DynamoDB tables from one AWS account to another. I'll discuss two approaches. The first approach is to export the table to an Amazon S3 bucket, and the second approach is to use AWS Backup to continually backup your tables. Let's get started. First, I'll show you how to export the table to an Amazon S3 bucket. Turn on the point-in-time recovery for your table. If you don't turn on PITR, then you'll see an error message at the top that advises you to turn on PITR. You can choose this button to turn it on. Make sure that your identity and access management user role has a DynamoDB export action. Here is an example of my policy. You'll need to add a bucket policy to an Amazon S3 bucket that allows you to export from DynamoDB. Here's an example of my target S3 bucket in another account. Export S3 feature. First, choose Export to S3 in the Export and Streams tab. If you didn't turn on PITR, then on next page, choose Enable PITR. For destination S3 bucket, enter your bucket name. For example, I'll enter S3 my DynamoDB export bucket and include the appropriate account number. Note, you can also configure additional settings such as DynamoDB point in time, the output format, and the encryption key. I'm going to use a default settings with the default output format as DynamoDB JSON and Amazon S3 key. Next, choose Export to confirm the export request. You can monitor the status of the export in the Export and Streams tab. After the export process completes, you will find a new AWS DynamoDB folder in your S3 bucket and a subfolder that corresponds to the export ID. This is what the content of the subfolder looks like. To request a table import, open the DynamoDB console and then choose Import from S3. Enter the Amazon S3 source URL. Choose Next and then select the options for the new table that you will create to store your data. Choose Next again to review your import options and then choose Import to begin the import task. After the import completes, the status shows as active and you can start to use the table. AWS Backups. Note, for this approach, the source and target account must be in the same organization in AWS organizations. Also, turn on the cross AWS region replication under AWS organization and AWS Backup. Choose AWS Backup and then choose Settings. Navigate to the cross account management and then turn on cross account backup. Choose AWS organizations and then choose AWS account. Click on Add an AWS account, choose Invite an existing account, enter the account number and email ID and then choose Send invitation. In the source account where the DynamoDB tables are, create the AWS Key Management Service and add the target AWS account that can use this key. This is my sample policy. In the target account, do the following. Create an AWS backup vault in the region where you want to migrate the DynamoDB table. Choose Backup Vault and then enter the vault name and your custom KMS key. After you create the vault, choose Allow access to a backup vault from organization to add an IAM policy to the vault. This allows other accounts within the same organization to copy into the vault. In the source account, do the following. Create an AWS backup vault in the same region as DynamoDB tables that you want to migrate or use an existing vault in the same region. Open the AWS backup console and then in the navigation pane, choose Backup Vaults. Choose Create Backup Vault. Enter a name of your backup vault. You can name your vault to reflect what you will store in it. Select an AWS KMS key. You can use the key that you already created. Choose Create Backup Vault. In the navigation pane, choose backup vaults and then verify that your backup vault is added. Choose Allow access to a backup vault from organization to add an IAM policy to the vault that allows the target account to copy into the vault. Choose backup plans to generate backup of the DynamoDB tables from the source account to the target account. For backup plan name, enter a plan name. Choose Build a new plan. Each part of the configuration has a link to an expanded section. In the backup rule configuration section, set the backup schedule window and lifecycle. For schedule, enter a backup rule name. On the backup vault menu, choose the vault that you created. On the backup frequency menu, choose how often you want this plan to create a backup. I will choose hourly. For the backup window, enter a start time. For start within time, choose within how many hours you want the backup to start. I'll choose within 1 hour. For complete within time, choose within how many hours you want the backup to complete. I will choose within 2 hours. Select Enable Continuous Backup for point-in-time recovery. I'll skip the lifecycle option, enter the total retention period. I'll keep default for 35 days. Use Copy to Destination to create a cross-region copy of the DynamoDB table in another account. Select the appropriate region and then choose Copy to another account's vault. Enter the ARN of the vault that's in the target account and allow to add the policy. For the lifecycle option, I'll use the default. After you set all the sections to your specification, choose Create Plan. Select the backup that you created. Under Assign Resources, enter a resource assignment name. I'll choose a default IAM role. You can choose your own custom IAM role if it has the required permission to the backup vault. Choose Include Specific Resources type to add the resources that you must backup. For Select Specific Resources type, select DynamoDB. You can choose all tables or only those tables that you must backup. After you select the table, choose Assign Resources. Note, it takes some time for the backup to complete and reflect in the target account. Post that, it will start the copy process in another account. In the target account, do the following. Navigate to the vault that you created. You can see that the recovery points are the same as in the source account. You can now restore your DynamoDB table in the target account. And now you know how to migrate your DynamoDB tables from one AWS account to another. Thank you for watching and happy cloud computing from all of us here at AWS.